Week 8 in the Always Sunny League, and it's about to get interesting. This is the weekly update. The more things change, the more they stay the same. In Week 8, the winning teams kept on winning, and the wheel kept on spinning. What is that? I don't even know what that is. All 4 5-2 teams won this week, creating an even wider gap between the top 4 and the bottom 6 teams. But as fate would have it, this still leaves the race for the playoffs wide open. Every team still has a shot at a playoff spot. But the second half of the season is going to feature some pretty big matchups. Games are going to start to take on a playoff feel long before the playoffs even start. We had one matchup that hinted at that type of feel this week. The one between the Rusty Strombone at 2-5 and the Gotham Rogues at 2-5. The Gotham Rogues prevailed in a very close contest and earned a spot as this week's hero. The Rogues beat the Strombone 131.8 to 121, a margin of just 10.8 points. This win only sent the Gotham Rogues to 3-5, but they're in a familiar spot. Right now, they are the first team out of the playoffs, the place they finished last year. Colin Kaepernick scored 30 points and Reggie Bush put up 24.2. And the Gotham Rogues showed the league that they're not going down without a fight. Next up for Gotham is Team Blumpkin, a division rival also at 3-5. And the playoff feel continues to grow. And now, this week's GOAT. Scoring just 90.5 points, preventable losses. Ruben Randall didn't get a sniff in the Giants game. 0 points. Sidney Rice got hurt in his game. He's now on IR. Not his fault, not preventable losses' fault. 0 points. Jermichael Finley, you feel bad for the guy. Might be taking up space on the roster right now. And Mike Vick. What's up with Mike Vick? Lowest point total in the league this week. Lost 3 in a row. And for that, preventable losses is this week's GOAT. Next up, for a 3-5 preventable losses team who's just trying to get himself back on track on Peyton Manning's bye week, by the way, is a matchup with a 6-2 Golden Shower squad who has an opportunity to make some noise in the Porter division with a win in next week's matchup. Alright guys, key matchups. For the past couple of weeks, there's been a logjam right at the top of the Porter division. 3 teams battling it out week after week, win after win, trying to keep pace with each other in the race for the Porter Division crown. Finally, in Week 9, 2 of them will meet head-to-head. One team will win, one team will lose, or they'll tie and I will eat my hat. Toddler Fight Club at 6-2 faces off against tight end to wide receiver at 6-2, as the winner keeps its claim on the division lead and the loser falls a game behind with 4 to play. These 2 teams met in Week 1, with Toddler Fight Club coming out on top, pushing the all-time record to 3-0, with Toddler Fight Club sweeping both regular season meetings last year. For Toddler Fight Club, Calvin Johnson is on a bye this week, and he's dealing with big injury question marks regarding DeMarco Murray and Jimmy Graham, and that Buffalo backfield is kind of a mess also. Toddler Fight Club has won its last 2 games and they're hoping to keep the momentum going. On the other side, tight end to wide receiver has been very active in the trade market recently. Players like Antonio Gates, Terrence Williams, Darren Sproles, and the ghost of Steven Jackson weren't even on tight end to wide receiver as few as 2 weeks ago. The biggest irony, just this past week, a 3-for-3 trade went down between these 2 teams. Antonio Gates and Terrence Williams will likely take their spots in the tight end to wide receiver lineup as they face off against their old team. Eddie Lacy will almost certainly be taking the field for Toddler Fight Club. And hey, you might even have a Vern Davis sighting. Tight end to wide receiver carries a 4-game win streak into this contest and is hoping to avenge at least one of his regular season losses to Toddler Fight Club. Okay guys, speaking of trades, I have an announcement to make regarding the trade deadline. The trade deadline is in 2 weeks. The trade deadline is the Wednesday after the Week 10 games. I moved it up a week from last year. I think that last year it was just a little bit too late in the season. Again, the trade deadline is the Wednesday after the Week 10 games, which means you only have 2 more weekends to make your trades. So figure out what you guys want to do. If you guys just want to swap email addresses and just take over complete different teams, that's fine. Somebody asked me if you can trade draft picks. The answer to that question is yes. You can trade draft picks, but only first round draft picks. Maybe next year we can talk about doing second round draft picks and so on and so forth, but first rounders for right now, because I have to keep track of all this stuff and I'm just a man. So there it is, fellas. The trade deadline, the Wednesday after the Week 10 games. Make sure you get all your transactions done. If you need anything taken care of, you know how to get in touch with me. Alright, that's it. Week 8 update over. Remember to set your lineups. Okay, remember about the trade deadline for Wednesday after the Week 10 games. And I will see you next week, where it's always sunny.